California, 38 million people live here. It's the most populated state and the 8th largest economy on the planet. But California is at risk from what many believe are the early impacts of global warming. For the last 10 years, California has been parched by drought and seared by forest fires. Freak weather has destroyed homes and ruined lives.
There was flames 100 foot high blown across the road, both directions.
I told you to get out! You need to get out now!
And while no one can say for sure global warming is the cause,
just a lot of mud came down the street. A wall of mud.
Climate experts predict the future may hold even more of these extreme weather events because of an increase in greenhouse gases, especially CO2, emitted when we burn fossil fuels like coal for electricity and gasoline for cars. It's an odorless, colorless gas that traps heat in the Earth's atmosphere. Most scientists say that this extra heat will alter the planet's climate.
CO2 is accumulating in the atmosphere faster than we thought it possible, and we're now exceeding the worst-case scenarios, both on the effects of CO2 and climate change and global warming, but also on the rate at which we're going to get there.
And the predicted effects of climate change seem especially dire in California. A 50% increase in the frequency of drought-induced forest fires, a sharp rise in heat waves and related deaths, millions of acres of coastal land threatened by rising seas, and a steep decline of the Sierra snowpack, the major source of water for California's cities and farms. But California has something no other state does. Its governor, Arnold Schwarzenegger, once a Terminator, is now an eco-warrior.
Hasta la vista, baby. Here's the bottom line. We know that there is global warming, climate change. And we know that we are creating it. I mean, the most respected scientists have made that clear, but thousands of scientists have made that clear.
A former Mr. Universe turned movie icon. His image is not of a man committed to preserving things.
Action, action, action.
But now, Arnold Schwarzenegger is responsible for one of the most visionary, some might say radical, environmental programs in the world, aimed at reversing climate change.
Do not lose hope. I do not believe that doom and gloom and disaster are the only outcomes. California is mobilizing technologically, financially, and politically to fight global climate change. Thank you very much. Thank you. In my heart, I had the will and I had the passion for doing something for the environment.
For over 100 years, greenhouse gas emissions have risen unrelentingly. Schwarzenegger's new regulation, called AB 32, is designed to halt and reverse this. He wants to slash predicted emissions by 30% by 2020, turning the clock back to 1990 levels. By 2050, he wants a further 80% reduction. That would bring emissions back to levels not seen since the early 20th century. These targets, most scientists say, must be met by the entire world to avoid the worst effects of global warming. They are the same targets President Obama has proposed. The governor's profound hope is that he is pioneering a plan that the rest of the country, in fact, the whole world, can follow.
I know that we should not just look at it as this little place and that only the things that we can contribute, but what power we have to push the country, the United States, and the whole world forward.
Schwarzenegger's AB 32 could affect nearly every aspect of people's lives. At least 15% of his planned emissions cuts are slated to come from efficiencies in homes and commercial buildings. Another 15% will come from changes to how power is generated. And 33%, 1/3, will come from cutting car emissions. The remainder will come from measures like CO2 caps on big industry and planting new forests to absorb carbon dioxide. Schwarzenegger has placed himself and California right in the middle of a debate that is raging across the globe. Can global warming be reversed without harming the economy? The governor promises it can.
Trust me. I told the people when I ran for governor, I said, we're going to protect the economy and the environment simultaneously. No one will have to sacrifice here.
But there are a lot of people out there who don't believe him. They say that the people of California will pay a price for his green revolution. Far from saving the state, the governor will destroy it.
Energy prices will go up. There is no doubt about it. You can take that to the bank. I predict that if we implement AB 32 over the next several years, as the increased energy costs kick in, you will begin to see job flight and capital flight from California.
The current economic climate puts this issue in stark relief. This past year, the state had 500,000 foreclosures, lost more than 100,000 jobs, and declared a fiscal emergency.
Questions about the budget.
Chuck DeVore is a California state assemblyman.
It hurts Californians. Poverty and jobs are a big issue. Greenhouse gas emissions are, at this point in time, a fairly theoretical problem. Putting food on the table and having a roof over your head, those are more immediate concerns.
And that's the issue. Schwarzenegger says you can be green and thrive. His critics say it is impossible.